This is Economic Systems and Institutions, Section B lecture. Our prioritized standard is Economic Standard 8, and objectively, we're going to identify the broad social goals of economic systems. Now, people commonly refer to the U.S. economy as a free market system, but technically, it is a mixed economic system. The U.S. has a capitalist economy where the government plays a very small role in the economy.
The U.S. economy is actually organized around a system of private markets in which prices for goods and services are determined, meaning private individuals and private businesses, you come together, people buy products. That's what a market is. There are a few common characteristics of the U.S. economy. For instance, people can own private property and enter into contracts. So you're going to see this in the U.S. economy very commonly. People own private property. They can decide what types of contracts they want to enter into themselves. Also, individuals have freedom of choice. Could you take your entire salary and go buy Mega Million lottery tickets? Yes, you could. Should you? Probably not. But you could because you're an American. Also, businesses engage in economic competition. So when you go to the grocery store and you want to get some cereal, you're going to have lots of cereal options. It's not going to be a matter of like Lost, where they have the Dharma Initiative cereal, and that's the only cereal that there is. Also, in the United States, we have something called voluntary exchange, which means consumers and producers only engage in trade when both parties expect to benefit. So if you have a stick and you wish you had a rock, and you have a rock and you wish you had a stick, then generally speaking, you're going to make that exchange if it's going to benefit both of you. But if both of them had a rock and they both wanted a stick, then they're not going to just exchange rocks, just exchange rocks. And also, there is limited government involvement and regulation in the economy. Not to say that we don't have any government, but the government we do have generally has a very small role, and they don't regulate a lot, meaning for the most part, economically, you can do as you please with very few exceptions.
The U.S. and all economic systems attempt to achieve the following broad social goals of economic policy.
So of those goals, we have a goal of economic freedom, meaning this is the freedom of people to make their own economic decisions. You can decide how you want to spend your money. You can choose what type of job you want for yourself. Those kind of decisions, the goal is that's going to be up to individual citizens. So you have money, you go to a store, you decide what things at that store you want to buy. It's your choice. Now, another broad social goal is economic efficiency. This means using resources as wisely as possible, because you might remember we have a thing called scarcity, which means we do not have all the resources that we wish we could have. So the resources we do have, we want to make sure we can use them the best way possible so that we don't run out of resources. A lot of times economic efficiency involves the use of technology. So the better technology you have, the better you can use your limited resources that you actually have on Earth. Another broad social goal is economic equity. This means making sure people are treated equally and fairly. So you probably have heard that women get paid less than men for the same job. Well, that is one of those things that as a country we hope to improve on. We don't want only certain citizens to make money while others make all the money. Another broad social goal is economic security. This means the desire of people to be protected against economic risk over which they may have little or no control. So some of the things our government does to try to combat this, we have Social Security, we have Medicaid, we have disability insurance, we have natural disaster relief. So things that happen that people have no control over, we want to make sure people have a little security when those things happen. Another broad social goal is economic stability, which we can probably break into two kind of sub-goals. One of those is job stability at full employment, meaning nearly everyone seeking work can find a job. Now, full employment doesn't mean everyone has a job. Economically, like this little blue line here is considered what is full employment. So if you have hit this magic little blue line, it means mission accomplished. We have full employment, which doesn't mean everyone has a job, but it just means the vast majority of people actually have jobs. Again, the other subset of economic stability is price stability, which means the avoidance of rapid inflation or deflation. Meaning, generally speaking, we don't like having widely varying prices for goods and services. We want to have a general idea of how much we're going to have to pay for things when we buy things. And the last broad social goal is economic growth. This means producing increasing amounts of goods and services over the long term, meaning, generally speaking, we hope that we're going to be able to produce more each year than the previous year. Now, there's been some times over the years when we've seen dips, but generally speaking, that is a big goal of ours. Now, we mentioned a lot of these goals. Some of these goals actually conflict. So since many broad social goals conflict, difficult trade-offs frequently have to be made in making specific policy decisions. For instance, some might be willing to give up some of their economic freedom, possibly in exchange for having a little bit more economic security. So depending on these tug of wars of these different broad social goals, which side you think should win out, that's actually the basis for the political parties.
This concludes Economic Systems and Institutions Section B lecture. Our prioritized standard is again Economic Standard 8, and objectively, now you can identify the broad social goals of economic systems.